had my first president's meeting of the Women's Club. We have over 355 members now. And it was, we 99% of the time stay on task. And, and that's the whole, stay on agenda, and that's keep it moving. So it worked quite well. So
how's your rentals going there?
Oh, Heidi is, Heidi Birch. They're going quite well, actually. People are starting to rent, including the Bach Festival people and weddings, birthday parties. They're starting to rent. The Women's Club is taking a very cautious opening when we start in October. And we're not doing any food till at least the first of the year. So we're being very, very cautious of what's going on. So we're happy about that, because we would be open, but there will be no food, no drinks served, and everyone must be masked. So that's where we're sort of starting out and see how it goes. We don't want to be a super spreader. So that's the point, because there's still, my daughter worked at 63 vaccination clinics for Montage and VNA, and she was hoping if they really do the booster, they'll make those widely available, because there's still 30 to 40% of the people not vaccinated in different counties. So we'll see.
Hi, John.
Hey, everybody.
All right, well, it's 9:30, so let's get started. So call to order, roll call, please. Ashley.
Yes. Calafiore.
Present.
Jet.
Present.
Martin.
Present.
Mike Check.
Present.
And Refuerzo.
Here.
All present. We have a quorum.
All right. Announcements from commissioners. Anyone have announcements they'd like to make? Donna?
The HEART program, as everyone knows, has been completed, and there will probably be a little ceremony of them sharing half of the proceeds from the HEART. I don't know the exact amount. It's between $35,000 and $40,000 to the Women's Club for our scholarship program, and the other half goes to the Chamber Foundation scholarship program. So that the leadership program seems very happy for their first year. They did a great job.
Well, congratulations on that amount of money. I mean, it's astounding.
Yes, we're very
leadership
happy.
Group they did a great job with those. I thought they looked fantastic, and it was so fun to see so many people around town taking pictures with them in all the different locations. That was a really neat addition to the community, and I really thank that whole group for all the effort they spent and time they spent to pull that together.
Right. And the new leadership group has started, so we'll keep an eye on what they're doing. If you belong to the chamber, you can get their newsletter, and if you don't belong, you can sign up for it. Most people around town do belong and support it. Great group.
Any other announcements? Okay, staff announcements.
Staff announcements. I sent you all an email last night. Some of you, I hope you guys saw it, about the term extensions or shortening in some cases. The city clerk changed the law to rebalance us so that appointments weren't happening right up against election time in November after I changed the election when I was clerk. So the new appointments will shift to the spring. We've kind of just swapped places. And terms will now expire April 30th. So we'll be working on recruitments in February and March rather than in August and September. And so it does shorten Judy's term and I think Linda's term. Yeah. a little bit to expire that. One of the goals we have to keep in mind with all of the term lengths is making sure that we don't have any more than two people's terms expiring per year, because it's really a challenge to fill three positions. And if we're left without a quorum, especially for something like the Planning Commission that hears a lot of important items that are kind of akin to council, that's going to cause a problem. So I'm working on rebalancing all of the board and commission members so that I can take an item to council in October ratifying these changes. And I'll have a report back for you all that is, don't know what I've never had that happen during a meeting before. Interesting. So, so anyway, I hope to get everybody, all the boards and commissions sorted out before the council meeting. So if you have any thoughts, please email me before then, and just keep moving forward. And then the board and commissions will all be ready for recruitments in this spring for vacancies that we have. And that's the only announcement I have.
Public appearances for anything not on today's agenda. I see Nancy.
Yeah, I've got just a few updates. So we do our beach cleanup is this Saturday morning from 9 to noon. As usual, we go from March through October, our third Saturdays of the month that we do that. So that's coming up this Saturday. Our normal kind of school year type seasonal programs would kick in normally on the first one being September 23rd. That one we had presenters set, but they needed to drop out for health reasons. So we've now got Carrie Tice and Jeff Barron doing that session and going to be looking for the community feedback on the work that's being done in the climate committee. And that will be done via Zoom, kind of in concert with what's happening with City Hall treatment for their sessions right now. So that will be September 23rd. And then I did kind of want to give a more advanced heads up. We do, with CRA, we do Citizen of the Year, which is actually done every 2 years for whatever is the historical reason that I don't necessarily know. But that's coming up on October 10th, a Sunday afternoon in the Carmel Women's Club across the street here, and that's open to the public. It's from 3 to 5 on Sunday, October 10th. And we welcome everyone and anyone to attend on that session as well. And I'll be a little bit more revealing in definitely, we pre-announce who the recipient is on October 1st. So at this point, it's closed lips, but you'll hear about that in the coming weeks. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Nancy. Anyone else, public appearances? Okay, seeing none, let's go to the approval of the minutes for the August 3rd special meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ashley?
Fiore,
Yes.
Jet,
Yes.
Mycheck,
Yes.
Martin. Yes. Fuerzo,
Yes.
adopted unanimously. Thank you all.
Receive an update on the farmers market and discuss.
So the market, we just continue to bump right along, new vendors in and out. Raul and Niall are doing an excellent job keeping things flowing well. They continue each week, if you've been there and noticed, to test out different things in terms of signage to remind people to, be on the sidewalk with their dogs on leashes and not in the market itself. They've added additional signs. It's gratifying to see people, tourists who just stumble across the market, stop to take photos and selfies with our giant, board that's there at the center. It's wonderful that our market has become a destination for that. I've been talking to Raul about something that this group had discussed, and we're still in those preliminary stages trying to figure out what our next steps will be. But doing that third Thursday of the month where we open up the streets again and roll into the park, and we have some sort of pop-up dinner thing working with our local restaurants or something like that, music or some fun thing that we can have going on that third Thursday of the year. The other thing he and I have talked about is something for the holiday season, something that would happen after our tree lighting, of course, but something along those lines. And I've also talked to him, well, we'll get there with one of our other events, but are there any comments from the commissioners or public about how the market is going or thoughts?
It's just great to do something where there's been little or zero criticism.
I mean, to that end, I think it's fantastic. I love the signage, and I do like how I feel like it's I don't want to say improving, but it just feels like the market's growing up and becoming kind of an entity in its own. One question is, as I think bigger picture about some of the things we've talked about with the park, the plaza, how have we had any feedback on the street closure issue when it comes to the Thursdays? Obviously, we're closing off kind of two streets in a way that kind of around the park, but has that been brought up at all, or has that really been a non-event now that it's been going?
Now that it's been going, it hasn't come up. I haven't received any comments or anything from our neighbors or from the council on that. And, I'm always willing to be flexible, and Raul and I have talked about, if that should become an issue, we just shift more vendors into the park. So we'd have street closed between that. So we've got a plan, should it become an issue, but for the time being, it seems to be working really well. That intersection there at 6th and Mission, when people are dropping other people off to do their shopping, that can get a little jammed up sometimes, but for the most part, it seems to be flowing pretty well. So, and we've worked with our parking officers who are going around the market to make sure that vendors are aware of where they can park while they are at the market, and and trying to keep especially the lot around the library, because of its proximity and its 1 hour time limit, open for shoppers, because that's ideal for them. And the library is closed that day, so it's perfect to try to keep that open for our farmers market shoppers. So that's all good. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I bring it up in a positive sense as essentially a case study for, thoughts on the park and what we've talked about potentially with the plaza. I think that's great. And again, I think people adjust, and it's been a fantastic opportunity to bring tourists and local, members of the community to that part of town, because I see them, going to the restaurants afterwards. I see them shopping around there afterwards. So I think it's been a great effect for the area.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. Any comments from the public? Nancy, were you raising your hand before?
I see Joe's hands up.
There's Joe. Okay. Joe?
Thank you. Joe Todd, resident. The market is really great. I mean, you should have seen it, John, prior to this market, two times before this, we had both streets closed, plus there was food, bins, farmers in the park as well. I mean, and you couldn't even walk through the market because it was so crowded, and everybody from the city, it was really crowded. That's not what I wanted to say, but I just wanted to add that since you opened that. The market to me is going really well, and I think that the idea of having the like the library table and all of the city event clubs at the end is very good on mission, because then people know exactly where to go and it doesn't interfere with the other stalls there. And I was just wondering, is it possible that at some point maybe the vendors could have a street parking sign that says that they're, part of the market just for that time? I mean, that's just something to think about, so that they're not getting a ticket. Because I know sometimes they have to park at different places to get their things out. But otherwise, the market is, to me, is just going along. And I do see people either carrying their animals or that they are walking on the sidewalk, which is really good. I see them also standing right in front of the sign though, where it says dogs on the sidewalk. And they're standing there. I says, what? I mean, but I can't say anything because it's not my job, but it's interesting to see that happen. I think that's all, but otherwise it's going, and I like it that they, since Vesuvio's has moved his outside seating, it makes it much more convenient for the market to extend them too, so that makes it a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the feedback. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on, receive updates and discuss the 2021 special events calendar for the city of Carmel-by-the-Sea.
All right, so Leslie and I and the ad hoc committees have been hard at work on events. So the next event that we will have here in the city coming up is the Sandcastle Contest. That's October the 2nd, starts at 8 a.m. on the beach, the building. I'll be getting a web post up today. I had one started and didn't get around to finishing it. So I'll be doing that and getting our posters posted and make sure it's in the Friday letter this week so that people are aware that our Sandcastle Contest will going on. And then just going backwards for a moment, I don't know, I saw Nancy there. The September 11th ceremony on Saturday was really great. Carrie Ann did an absolutely terrific job. It was so impactful. And I was there on site with our public works crews because we supported that event with the setup of our chairs and rerouting the buses and things. But it was a very, very well done. So kudos to Carrie Ann on a nice morning spent at the park, though somber occasion. So back to our calendar.
Well, can I?
Yes, please.
It was I didn't attend the whole thing, but it was a beautiful setup and the giant flag and everything was just outstanding. And to Joe's comments, though, there were lots of dogs in the park. Lots and lots. I love dogs, but there were lots of dogs in the park attending the ceremony.
There were lots of dogs in the park. I did see that as well. And I am contemplating the dogs in the park in particular. I understand with the market and are complying with health department regulations, but I've been thinking as I sit here and can see across to the park and hear when there are children over there playing with balls, which are also not allowed, and people walking their dogs through the park, maybe exploring some sort of change for the rules in the park going forward, because
you read my mind. As I saw it on Saturday, I went, wow, we're changing a lot of things in Carmel and it's moving in good directions. And maybe there are some things we could revisit. And I was thinking, yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's logic and reasoning behind those things, with the balls in the park, with the proximity to, it's not a large park. So with the proximity to Ocean Avenue and some busy streets, we were concerned about safety and of course kids are playing on the grass and dogs could be doing their business on the grass. So there's lots of, it's not as easy as going, everybody just have fun. But when I see things like that, that's where my wheels start turning. And I think, how can we strike a balance here between fun and safety? So hopefully we'll get there. And yes, I did notice the dogs in the park.
It's tough.
So Sandcastle Contest, I hope to see you all there. And thank you to Ellen for volunteering to be one of our judges. Awesome. The next up, actually before the Sandcastle Contest on Wednesday, September 29th, we'll be doing the annual jurying of our Homecrafters Marketplace vendors. So everybody who was expiring in 2020, I don't know, I've gotten so mixed up with these dates now after this gap year. Anyway, everybody who needs to rejury will rejury. Leslie's been keeping track of all of those vendors, and we've been getting people's renewals in the mail like crazy. So people want to come back, which is great. That will be held from 10 to 6 at the Women's Club. So thanks to Heidi and Donna for helping us get that scheduled. Part of the reason for that is this Lobos is kind of being used as a satellite space for the police department, and the Women's Club is much bigger, and we will be able to really space ourselves out and provide for better circulation through the room because of its size. So we thought that would be great to do safety-wise and there's lots of doors and windows that can be opened. So thank you to the Women's Club for hosting us this year. So Sandcastle Contest, October 2nd. I'm having some confusion about the high school homecoming parade. I heard the other day it was the 15th, but I had an email that it was October 1st. So I will be confirming that date. I think it's October 1st. The Wednesday, October the 6th, there'll be the Carmel Chamber of Commerce Taste of Carmel. That's a Wednesday in the middle of the week, so it won't impact the farmers market happening. They had been looking at a Thursday originally, but they'll need a long lead for their setup time. And that was the serving of alcohol was approved by council at their last regular meeting. So that's moving forward per the CAC's recommendation. Challenged athletes will be happening Sunday, October the 17th. And that's
actually
Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick on Taste of Carmel. Are we going to have any issue with not setup but takedown interfering with the setup for the farmers market?
No, they'll be out. They'll be out by 10,
that morning.
11, because the breakdown, I mean, at least in my experience with events, and I'm sure you've seen this, John, breakdown is so much faster than setup. Setup takes forever and everything's got to be in its place. And when you break down, it's like, throw it in the back of the truck and let's go home.
Yeah, great.
Focus in the morning. So that'll be out.
Exactly.
No worries for the next morning. The only thing that we'll need to slide over, and I've already spoken with the Public Works Department about this and reached out to the police department, is we will have the vehicle stopping barricades there at Ocean and Unipero. And so the Public Works Department will be teaching our police officers, the ones who will be on duty that night, how to just shift them into the parking stalls so they're out of the way and the streets can be opened once that breakdown is completed and won't impede the traffic flow starting on Thursday morning. So we should be good to go there. And those will be picked up first thing in the morning by the Public Works Department. So after challenged athletes, the next big thing we have is the annual birthday Halloween parade. Thank you to my ad hoc committee for that. That's Linda and Donna, who've been working with Leslie and I. And then we have two other volunteers who've been talking with us about that event and actually the holiday celebration. Lauren and Brian Andrus. Brian is formerly the head of the American Legion Post 512. He and his wife, Lauren, are lovely people. You may have seen them at the farmers market volunteering at one of their tables. They've now formed their just two-person group at this point, volunteers to help out community groups, and they reached out to me and said, we'd love to work with you. So they're going to be helping us in particular with the decorating of the park for Halloween and for the holiday celebration, and probably anywhere else we can use an extra set of hands. So I'm really grateful to them for reaching out. And I think it's going to be really great. With the Halloween parade, there are going to be, I've mentioned this before, some changes, more changes than I thought. So we're going to scale back the luncheon, and we're just going to do cupcakes this year. And we'll do them in Devendorf Park, as I mentioned, because we're going to change up the route. I did work with the Sunset Center and Bach Festival. Because the Bach Festival moved its performances back into the fall, they're actually having a performance at 4 p.m. on Halloween, on that Sunday, which is when we would want to launch the parade. So that'll cause a huge traffic jam of people wanting to get to the Bach Festival with us shutting down San Carlos Street. So we are going to be very nimble, and we're going to pivot up to Mountain View. And I have letters drafted to our residents on San Carlos Street, thanking them for all of their years of support. I mean, they're out there with their lawn chairs every year and cheering on the parade, and they've been such good neighbors to us. So thanking them, thank you, Nancy, and I know Dale's along there too, thanking them for their support and just letting them know the reason for the change. And, it's nothing to do with San Carlos neighbors. We love them, but we do want to be respectful of the Bach Festival, and they probably had this date set before I made the decision to switch it. So we will, and I talked to Sunset Center, we'll work with them in the future to coordinate the parade, because it is ideal to have the staging on San Carlos Street. So, but in the interim, what we will do is we will stage on Mountain View, just like we do for the homecoming parade, because we know that works. And I've looked at pretty much every other street in Carmel, and that is the best spot for us besides San Carlos Street to stage the parade. So I'll be getting notice out to residents of Mountain View, and it'll be Mountain View, not all the way down to the Forest Theater, but the block before that. So 2 blocks of Mountain View, and I'll be reaching out to the residents there and letting them know the reason for the change. Hopefully, they will only be inconvenienced for a couple hours. We plan to shut the street down at 2:30. The parade will launch at 4, and we'll open the streets up then. So an hour and a half. And if somebody needs to get in, just like we did with San Carlos Street, if somebody's a resident who needs to get in, we let them in so they can go park in their driveway and settle in. So we'll work with their residents, and hopefully they're receptive to it, and we'd be very grateful if they would be okay with the change for this year. And then I am going to the Carmel Chamber meeting, the business roundtable tomorrow morning to speak with some of our business owners about getting set up for trick-or-treating downtown and doing some decorating. Everybody was pretty receptive last year with our Pumpkins on Parade campaign, which was great. And so I'm hoping to keep that momentum up and get our business owners involved and make it really festive for that Halloween day downtown. And if you all get the catalyst through the chamber, Jenny was kind enough to send out kind of a flyer that I built for the business owners about that, haunted happy hour, trick or treating, the sky's the limit. Just have some fun with this. And I think it will be a great way to connect our business owners, longtime residents, and some of the new families that we've had moving to town during the pandemic, so that they get to know the downtown area and our shop owners. And I think this is a good opportunity for a real community event. So that's where we are with the Halloween parade. So
Ashley,
yeah.
Go ahead, Linda.
Just while we're on Halloween, we are planning, I believe, to pass out pumpkins again at the farmers market.
Yes. I've spoken with Raul about that, and the vendor who provided us with pumpkins last year is ready to go and has pumpkins for us growing this year. And so we will do that giveaway again at the market.
Donna?
Cupcakes. I understand that Pepe is donating them.
He is donating them.
Okay, and they'll be set up in the park after the parade to be given away.
Yeah.
And they'll be individually wrapped and safe. And you have volunteers for that, or you'll arrange that?
I will arrange that. I might be reaching out to some of you for that. The park, we will start decorating the park for help, just because it takes a while and there's layers. We'll be starting to work on park decorations the week of October 11th, so that we have everything ready to go. And then it will probably be some tables in the park. And yes, they will be individually wrapped. Leslie and I are working on securing wrappings that are environmentally compliant, and we'll run them by Anya's Martelet so that she knows what we're using, and we can provide those to Pepe. And thank you so much to him for stepping up to donate cupcakes. Actually, those were his suggestion. I was thinking about cookies, and he said, how about cupcakes? And I'm like, this would be great. I think kids and families will love it. So I'll be working with him on that. So
John,
yeah. Just 2 quick things. First, as you're speaking to the chamber, one thought would be for businesses that are interested in having trick-or-treaters after the parade, maybe they put a pumpkin in front of their door, or we have some sign, meaning like a pumpkin or a scarecrow or something that's universal across the stores that kind of says, hey, this store is a great place. Hey, kids, like, you can trick-or-treat here. I thought that might be helpful for the kids. And the second thought, and full disclosure, I'm on the board of the CYC, so there's a little self-interest here too. I've talked to the center. They were super interested in the potential for their kids to design the costumes or a sign and somehow walk in the parade with the center, and have the center organize a group of kids to walk in the parade. If we have community organizations or businesses that are interested in taking part in the parade, how can they show their interest, or who determines that?
Good question, John. So I actually have I have a list of all the community groups that I can think of, or whoever's participated in the parade in the past, whether they've been in a vehicle or they've walked. And so I will be reaching out to all those groups via email, and I have a little form to fill out that will hopefully populate a spreadsheet for me, so I can build the lineup and say, okay, these groups are then the walkers groups, and then we can kind of organize everything the day of. And I will be advising anybody who receives that form. And I mean, right at this point in time, we don't have, you know, criteria for this. Everybody can participate. I think that's good. We should be inclusive. And so if I send this out and you know of somebody that you think hasn't heard about it and their group would want to participate, forward them the email, and I will be putting that language in what I send out, which will hopefully go out by the end of this week.
That'd be awesome. And to the extent we have any, I don't know, I mean, to the extent we really want this out there, you know, and we do any kind of advertisement in the Pinecone, maybe a little asterisk at the bottom saying, you know, if your community group would like to participate, please reach out to so-and-so. I don't know how much we want to do it. It'd have to obviously be done early enough to give us time on our side to prepare the groups and to prepare the parade. So I understand the administrative burden, but that's awesome. It's fantastic. And I love seeing that excitement. I know a couple of the kids that had heard that it was a potential were super excited. So great.
Yeah, no, I think it will be terrific. We've always had River School dads participating, elementary classes from the River School. I think CYC's participated in the past. The Women's Club is usually out there with their witch hats on and they march in the parade. So it's really great. Pack Rep's always got something very loud and musical happening. CRA, I have a sticky note up here to talk to John Wolf, who is working on that for CRA. So I'll be contacting him directly. So I think it's going to be a great parade and return to that this year. There'll be, I think, more walkers than have been in the past few years, but that was always typical of the parade, always tradition. There were more walkers, a lot more kids. I think I found pictures in the archives from about, 25 years ago, and my little cousin Alec is in there with his football team carrying the Panthers banner from when he was like 8. So this is, it is going to be great, and I think we'll get it more back to a community vibe, more walkers, lots of fun. So that's go ahead.
I have a couple of questions. So the pumpkins that we're going to give away, do we know what week we're going to give them away? Are we going to give them away more than 1 week?
Good question, Judy. I think that I'm looking at my calendar right now. Hold on just a second. Let's see if I put anything on here. The 21st and the 28th are those days before Halloween. I think last year, did we divide it into 2 days, I think?
No, I think it was only 1 day.
I think it was one. We had a ton of pumpkins. It was fun.
And we did it more than a few days before Halloween. So the pumpkins had
let's shoot for the 21st then in that case, because that'll give people plenty of time to decorate their pumpkins and to or
decorating the city, because that's what we told them to do. Go home, put your pumpkin out, get in the mood for the city, right?
Yes.
So there is no pumpkin roll this year.
There is no pumpkin roll this year. I love the pumpkin roll. It's awesome. It's a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of staff are involved in it. And so with this, we'll still need to do rolling street closures, but it doesn't take as much time with those for shutting down streets and things. Pumpkin roll is all day. The parade will be a few hours, and then whoever on our staff has kids can go home and trick or treat with their kids. So we want to make sure there's a good balance for everybody.
Have we ever thought about having I'll call you just a second, Donna. A pumpkin carving in the park, when they're giving out cupcakes afterwards or something, or.
We did have a pumpkin carving demonstration in the park during the pumpkin roll. I didn't get that far to organize it. If that is something the ad hoc committee wants to take up, but that is beyond my scope of organizing at this point in time.
Okay, and one last question from me, and then we'll go to Donna. Is so are we trending towards moving the parade now to 4 all the time?
I would like to, yes, because then if we keep it on Halloween every day of the year, if it's during the week, then it can be something that kids just naturally move on to after school to participate in. And that is how it used to be in the very olden days. It was more geared towards, it's always geared towards family, but doing it so that they can do some trick-or-treating downtown, grab some dinner, and then head to Mission Fields and do that serious trick-or-treating.
Great. Okay, Donna?
I think about giving the pumpkins away. Last year, one of the things is that so many people didn't know we were going to do it. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because hundreds more would show up. So somehow we need to sort of, when we do any kind of ad regarding the parade, or even maybe on the notices to the group, remind them that there will be free pumpkins that day. so
Yeah.
more people know
Yeah.
about it.
Well, I hesitate. I mean, again, as you said, Donna, I hesitate
I
to
know.
do broad advertising. I think, gently letting our community groups know, our business owners know if they want to pick up a pumpkin, that will be there. I like the idea of it being kind of a surprise that you stumble on, that, our regular market savvy people will be aware of and can get the word out. But I think we'll keep it low key for the moment. And back to the 4:00 p.m. start time. As we do with all of our events, anytime we make changes or anything like that, we'll reevaluate every year. And so if it's not working, if we try it out for a couple of years and the 4:00, it's either we see low attendance or it just jams town up too much or something like that, we always have the option to revert back to that Saturday before Halloween and do that, because we know how that works. So we'll be evaluating this as we go forward and see what it looks like. Hopefully it will be successful, and not, we know the old way works too.
Great.
So after, and again, thank you, Linda and Donna and our volunteers for helping with that event and brainstorming it. The next event is Wednesday, November 11th, and that's the Veterans Day ceremony. And that's in the park. And
Thursday.
Pardon me?
Thursday,
yes, it's a Thursday. And we'll be working with Post 512 on developing that program and speakers. And thanks to the 9/11 ceremony, actually, I really like the way that Carrie Ann had set up the chairs there. It was very well done. I think we had moved them further back into the park and cut through one of the pathways. And I really like the way that she organized that. I think people were able to hear better, not being so far back in the park. And so I'd like to try that same setup again for this upcoming Veterans Day. So I'll be working on that. Leslie's been hard at work with the Homecrafters Marketplace and communicating with our vendors. As I mentioned earlier, we're getting a lot of forms and checks and things like that. So people want to come back, and that's really gratifying. We may see a fewer number of vendors than we have in past years, just because people are being cautious about COVID, or if they've had other things come up. But then we also have had inquiries this last year from new people who we haven't seen before. So I'm looking forward to seeing for the jurying process, and that will be Judy and Ellen, because Ellen hasn't done it before, so this will be great. And then Pam Clawman has volunteered to be our other volunteer, and she's served in past years on this committee and the jurying. So it'll be nice to have Mrs. Clawman back again. And then we'll be encouraging, and I will caveat this with all of our events. We're watching COVID very closely. I know our events are outdoors, but at the same time, we want everything to be as safe as possible. So we'll be encouraging people to wear masks with the Homecrafters Marketplace, because we have our vendor stationery that they have, hand sanitizer available, that, people are being safe, and we'll be working on that communication. And then December 3rd, which is a Friday, will be the annual holiday celebration. I don't have as much of an announcement out on that event at this point. We're still working on what the park will look like, what our program will look like. It will definitely be scaled back, but I think it's still going to be really fun. And Santa, at the very least, I can assure everyone that Santa will be there, which is the most important thing.
Who's on that ad hoc?
That is John and Donna.
Okay.
So I'll have, as an upcoming, probably at the October meeting, I'll have more details for you on the tree lighting event. And that's it. That brings us to the end of event season. Donna, you're muted.
October meeting we don't know if that'll be live or Zoom yet, right?
The October meeting will be the 12th. And it's highly likely that it will stay in Zoom. One of the challenges with the council chamber, we want everybody to stay as safe as possible, but I'm sure all of you remember how tight that chamber is. The ceilings are high, but it's just, there's not a lot of seating for public in general. And we want, I think, be cautious of that. And with the council meetings and some of our other meetings, that high attendance would continue to be a challenge in keeping people safe. So I think we'll just do all of our meetings on Zoom for the foreseeable future. but that's always subject to change. We thought we were going in person and then it switched back again. So I will keep you all updated as information comes forth and if changes are made. But for the time being, we'll have to just see each other at the farmers market or
Ash,
at our upcoming events.
just related to the dates, one thing I was thinking, and it's not, I think in a Zoom environment, we're in a better position, but it feels like for some reason or another, a number of our second Tuesday, or, kind of second Tuesday of the month meeting dates fall on public school weeks off. So spring break, fall break, winter break. So for instance, that week I think is fall break for the public schools in Carmel-by-the-Sea. So just something, to the extent we have commissioners that are, or public that are, not local because of that, we should just be mindful that if we're in an in-person scenario.
Yeah, that's a good point, John, and something that I think I brought up with this commission before, but we haven't formally pursued, which would be to change the time of this meeting so that it's later in the day, that it's sometime after 4:30 or 5, because it is hard for people to participate during the week at 9:30 if they've got a full-time job or they are taking care of kids. So I'll add that to future agenda items list or to our strategic plan to think about for the future in terms of making sure people are accommodated and have the best access possible. Because part of that is what time does the meeting happen?
But again, we're lucky that we can also Zoom in too. Right? I think even when the city opens up, we're still going to allow, hopefully, the Zoom feature so that everyone can participate. And that, some people work nights, some people work weekends, some people work, all different kinds. Some people can't get out of the house, they're housebound, and we'd like everyone to participate.
Yeah, I anticipate meetings would be hybrid going forward where we're set up for that. But we're never going to be able to accommodate every single person's schedule all the time. But if we can maximize that, I think it would be a good gesture for our public and to increase participation with our community activities as well.
Just a quick point to John's mention that the weeks that the schools are on break, maybe those are the weeks to try to do the extension into the park for farmers market, since that has a little more of a kid focus to it.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. Judy, I see that Joe's got her hand raised.
Oh, yes, Joe?
Hi, thank you. I was just wondering for the pumpkin day, if you could ask the vendor to have small pumpkins as well, if it's possible. And thank you for saying that Zoom is going to be forever. I think it's wonderful. And the other thing is, I was on the Santa Monica Arts Commission, many years ago, because I've been here for 10. And I was just wondering for your jurors sometimes, because Chip is always saying he's competing with Santa Monica. He wants to make sure that Carmel-by-the-Sea is up with the things that are going on in Santa Monica. But I was just wondering, we always gave our jurors a small honorarium. So I just wondering if you think about that it's sort of nice to have an honorarium for your jurors. I mean, nothing big, but just a little token. So I think that's all I had. You talked about that's it, the pumpkins and the honorarium and the Zoom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. All right, future agenda items besides what we've talked about?
I don't have any additions at this point. We'll probably later in the fall be ready for a look at the strategic plan. Right now, as from a staff standpoint, Leslie and I are splitting up some of the clerk work and then just preparing the events. So I don't know how much we will get to in terms of strategic planning or policy changes or anything like that. But so once we get past, some of the bigger events, I'll try to keep my eye on the strategic plan. But in the meantime, if anything comes up that you all know about or think we could improve on, just let me know and I can add that onto an agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. And I will see you soon. Everybody at the farmers market, maybe.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks, Alan. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.